guys, welcome to Season 2, Episode 3 of the Creators Corner. I'm here with I'm here with host Mr XGN and TSB TERRORCODE. We have a returning guest, Viktory with the K. Welcome back, Viktory.
Hey, thanks. Always glad to come on the show.
Hey, Viktory, how you doing?
I've just been living the dream the last few days, It's been kind of an enlightening week, so I'm just, enjoying it, doing what I can to stay busy.
Okay. What, oh, Corey, go ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah, man. So now word on the street is your Viktory with the K, pause without the KSI.
Yeah, so I am no longer a member of KSI, and, ironically enough, I'm now a member of KN. It was a quick transition.
Cool.
Nice. It's nice to have you playing for the good guys.
Shoes on the other foot now, right?
This ain't gonna be fun. I can't even yell at them.
Yeah.
You can yell at me, but it has to be in a loving way.
Yes.
Just ask you questions, answer them, and give the rebuttal.
Ooh. Yeah, we could do that.
Like the good old days.
Exactly.
Throwback.
All right, Landry, if you want to go ahead and start the questions, because I'm sure Corey and I are going to have some that we're going to jump in on.
Okay. So, since we brought it up, on the previous episode, Mr. XGN asked you a question, answered it for you, and then argued against his own answer. Do you think that he would answer that question differently today for you?
I think he might, if only just because context matters. Obviously, what you're referring to is, quote unquote, what I said, it was impossible for me to be removed from KSI, which today, if you think about it, is still only half true. So to give some background, I actually stepped down from the role of executive director or CEO for those who are not really familiar with KSI's rank structure, due to some of my private conversations with some consenting individuals being leaked to the public. I felt it was in my best interest to simply shut down the narrative there and step away from the community. 48 hours later, I was DNH for the same actions. And then a week after that was un-DNH for the same actions. So it's been an interesting couple of developments in that regard.
Moral of the story, I am the gaming community whisperer. That's pretty much what I'm hearing.
Oh my god.
TLC hit me up. I'm ready to do a show.
Like you're like Caesar the dog whisperer. What's his name?
Did he say TLC?
Yeah, whatever. Who does it? Who does hoarders and all that weird shit?
That's TLC.
Yeah, that's TLC.
My 600-pound life and Little People, Big World. All those shows, can't get enough of them.
So, Viktory, I just want to clarify for the people that are listening. I've obviously seen screenshots. I didn't think there was any. I didn't even agree with you having to step down. It could have been something you could have addressed. You guys could have, worked through that. But you chose to take the moral high ground and step down because some private conversations you got out or you had with people got screenshotted. And they obviously had removed a lot of the things they said in the screenshots. And because you didn't want that to be the story, you chose to just step down and become a member of KSI. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
And 48 hours later, you were DNH'd?
Yes, that is also correct.
And what was the reason you were given for being DNH'd?
It was provided to me that because of my willingness to participate in this type of conversation, which included members on the board of directors, leadership in various levels of KSI, and just general members as well, people who we became friends with right over time. We engaged in this willingly. We didn't say anything about it. We didn't bring it up or whatever. And in our minds, it was because it was private and it had nothing to do with our conduct in a professional setting. It's a conduct in a private setting. We were also under the impression when .com and KN split, when Elderpoot kind of came into the operations director role, we kind of stabilized the idea that your personal private conduct we will not try to use against you in some way. And that started to change as the regime kind of came into effect with me being the ED and so on, but it was never explicitly said. And because I represent that particular regime and leadership, I just felt it was best to go along with it because I did represent that. And as such, I'm no better and not held accountable unlike anyone else. So instead of trying to play up the narrative, I just shut it down there and stepped away. And when the DNH conversation happened, it was much the same thing. There was too much context. There was too many screenshots. It was getting out to the community and so on, which I still haven't really seen evidence of that, but I wasn't going to argue and dispute it because I just respected the decision and decided it was time for me to step away anyways.
And then they came back a week later and un-DNH'd you?
Yes. So to kind of clarify, when a member is DNH from KSI, they're generally banned from the Discord server, just to kind of separate them from the general community population, which nothing wrong with that, especially if you have someone who's like making threats or sexual harassment or anything along those lines. You want your members to feel safe. I never was actually removed after I was DNH'd. So in the time that I was DNH'd, I was still a member of the server. I was able to participate in conversations and the voice chats and different text chats. There was also a bunch of open door conversations about the incident that happened. And I answered questions to those who had them privately and was able to attend a lot of these conversations as like a guest or a viewer. And it kept going on and on. And it was kept being brought up by different people with different perspectives. Apparently, there was a lot of complaints or concerns about how this all went down. And I think ultimately they felt that they made a mistake and went back and corrected it.
Okay. So they corrected their mistake.
Yes, in my mind they did anyways. I don't know what happens behind closed doors at this point. It's no longer my my realm, but I'm assuming from my point of view how this all went down that they felt it was a mistake to go ahead and DNH all these people, especially those who sat on the board and didn't have any priors or weren't ever problems in the community before, and it was an unfair response to what happened.
So they DNH'd board members.
Yes. So the whole list of people who got DNH, to my knowledge, and I might be wrong, was myself, the executive director, IceSpot7, who was kind of my second in command, who had retired just shortly before being DNH'd, KSI Ronald7, who was a elected board member and the division leader of our PlayStation division, a member by the name of KSI Noob7, who was a co-founder when he was originally removed from the community, KSI Micro, who was a general, and a few lower level members who most people wouldn't be familiar with. But we were all of the same friends group. We kind of came up on the same games together on the PlayStation platform together. And instead of trying to separate who did what, who did this, they just decided to flat DNH all of us. And then I guess a week later, all of those DNH were, I would imagine, the people who have the ability to create a DNH, which for those who don't know .com, that would be the executive director, the ops director, the creators of KSI are the only ones who have the power to DNH and remove that way.
Wow.
So who became the executive director after you stepped down?
So after I stepped down and was DNH subsequently, the person who took over the executive director's position based on majority vote was KSI Carrot7, and the operations director role by popular vote was also KSI Aries7.
Now, doesn't Carrot hold another title over there?
Yes, he is a creator of KSI as well, and I believe he vacated that creator status to go into the executive director status. But again, I don't know for sure. I haven't really been paying attention.
Now he's a creator of KSI. That's okay? Because we've had a couple of the actual creators on here.
So to clarify, we made it a rank again in KSI for like kind of individuals who have become a builder within the community, or someone who's held a position long time in KSI, and we want to kind of honor them for that. But it also comes with a marginal amount of responsibility. The way we formulated the board was that a creator is not more powerful than the board. So there's obviously situations where if a creator was stepping on a line, the board can vote to remove them from their status, just like any other board position. However, obviously the perception of the word creator kind of creates this double standard in some ways, or like a different kind of feel to it. So I see where there might be confusion, or where members might kind of look at them as the overarching authority of the community.
So now, because Carrot hasn't done anything or really been there for a long time, he bought his way into that rank, correct?
I can say not anything here or there about that. I have no idea.
Oh, it is getting spicy now.
Again, I've maintained that I won't speak for things I don't know about, so I'm not going to just start putting out a false narrative, especially just.
You heard it here, folks. Karen bought his rank per Victory with the K. Pause.
Wow.
No
Hey, that's some rape shit right there. That's gaslighting, and I don't appreciate that.
Bro,
oh no.
It's okay.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah. Oh my.
Big,
exactly what happened. TerrorCode paid his way too.
So we're using terms that Unlimited uses. I don't like it.
Gaslighting.
I hate it here.
Dude, it's unlimited.
It's unlimited gaslighting.
Yes, that's exactly what it is right there. So, all right, I can't get you to confirm that Carrot bought his way into his rank.
I will not confirm that because I simply do not know.
So when JT let you guys almost lose your domain name and website, Carrot stepped in and paid for it, and then he was promoted. Is that true?
No. So when we almost lost the domain name, members stepped up and donated for us to pay that bill, which the board at the time did not agree with that decision because we felt we could have just put the money in to pay for it and that was it, and that would have been done.
Why did you guys almost lose the domain?
The server costs were backed up and the main domain was not backed up properly. And instead of like worrying about the consequences of trying to like pull the server or look for a way to back up, we just simply paid the bill as best as we could and then continued on with a new payment cycle. Again, this is from my knowledge. I don't want to say it's fact, but this is how I perceived the situation with the information I had.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they identify themselves by that website. It doesn't make sense to me why they wouldn't protect it. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. Like if you look at it and if that was to happen again, I would feel it's negligence, if anything.
Mm.
I mean, somebody could be a real asshole and say, like, I throw a date out here like November the 9th at midnight 2020. That domain came up for sale again or renewal. Somebody could jump on that, right?
Oh, yeah. It's just like anything. Like right now, the trademark for KSI Global Gaming Network was originally owned by .org. That trademark expired and no one ever renewed it. So technically, that's out there to be purchased.
Yeah.
Oh, this is like some Cajun seasoning. It's getting spicy.
Okay.
If you could go back and change anything you said on the previous podcast, what would you change?
She didn't get to say much.
Well, again, political speak. I really wouldn't change what I said. At the time, what I was saying was what I felt was best for the situation. I'm not here to kind of like change or correct my behaviors from the past or how I've presented myself. I'm a different person than I was a few months ago, whether that's from enlightenment of information, being in a different environment, or just simply growing as a person. I'm not too worried about it. I'm not going to sit here and delete things in the past. I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend like things didn't happen either. So I'll just kind of look at it and be like, at the time, I felt that was the right thing to say.
All right. Let's pretend this is a dating profile. Sure. If you were going to take me on one date as our first date, where would you take me?
Well, see, here's the thing. I don't think you and I share the same interests, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I'd probably take you to like an amateur wrestling match that's like held in some underground like fucking bar where there's just blood and violence everywhere because I feel like you dig it.
I'm totally down with that as long as you don't take me to that KSI Hall of Fame inductee ceremony. That was terrible.
Oof.
That was brutal.
It could have been better, but it was the first one. So, like, again, when they do it again.
All the viewers were definitely XS and Hydra.
Honestly, it was pretty half and half because we were hosting it on two different platforms. So the Twitch was more XS and Hydra, and then the other one was YouTube. We just used the YouTube broadcast. And that was more KSI people. So it ended up leveling out at the end of the day.
How many watched on YouTube?
I think it was 55.
Impressive.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive considering.
All right, and this is something, since y'all brought that up, I've said this to both of you privately, so I know you've had time to think about it. But remember when I said that from an outsider's perspective, and I've never been in KSI, but the statement that Aries made during the induction ceremony when she was talking about her Hall of Fame status and how she must have done something right because she hadn't made anyone mad enough to remove her from the Hall of Fame yet.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys realize how fucked up that sounds, that even though you worked, the body of work was there that got you in that position, you had done everything required, your peers felt like you deserved to be there. If you piss someone off, they'll just write you out of their history.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you take the comment and just look at it as a standalone statement, it's kind of fucked up. I guess in context, it was kind of a joke, and yeah, haha, funny for those who are in the loop. But yeah, if I was just some guy that tuned into this because I'm a member in XS or Hydra and I had heard all the stories about KSI and then watched that, I would have kind of sat there and like, that's really strange because it makes me wonder if people are being removed from the Hall of Fame. Now, from
Well, they are. I mean, you guys added Big BT back to the Hall of Fame that night.
yeah, so all of those people that we added to the list were people that were on the docket to be added. And those people were going to be sworn in during whatever ceremony they had, usually at the end of the year, right? So a lot of these people get sworn in before the holidays start. That's how the Hall of Fame used to work. So all of them were or like not added to the list, but their intention to be added to the list when it came up for a ceremony or for end of year kind of awards and so on. And then obviously regime changes happen or people leave and come and go and there's splits. That happened in the middle of the year, the early part of the year, and then new leadership's in charge and they just ignore it or they weren't aware of it. So a lot of this was going back into the archives like, okay, leader of this area at this time said that this person should be in the Hall of Fame. People agreed to it. As far as we were concerned, that was they were going to be in the Hall of Fame. But it never gets to that point when all of those people are either gone or removed from their roles or join another community. So that was just us looking at the backlog and being like, they were supposed to be in the Hall of Fame. It wasn't a matter of them being removed from the Hall of Fame previously or that they weren't going to ever be there. It was just we wanted to verify that that's actually what happened. We found all of that information on the forums and then asking previous leaders from the past iterations of KSI.
Yo, I'm not even going to front, man. Like, my big perspective is like, I actually re-listened to that podcast today of my chick with you, man. And like, a lot of the shit I said, like, I'm not going to like, whatever. I just feel like a lot of shit I said really was true. But like, I feel like your perspective at that time where you were at, it, like, I do agree it would have been virtually impossible for you to really like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like with time brought perspective and etc. Like with me personally, like even in that, like it wasn't really me against you. It was more so like my anger was realistically like how I explained to you previously, like the lack of like accountability or the willingness to kind of like resolve these problems. And like to me, the Hall of Fame was such a simple thing. Like if we rewind back to that moment, like the first few tweets that were coming out and etc. Like I want to reiterate that I personally didn't give a fuck. Like I went 10 years like without even once thinking about the Hall of Fame or thinking about any of that shit. My problem came from when like Callie and my peers and other people that actually know me, brought my name up. I just felt like I received a lot of feedback and commentary that was unnecessary from people that just simply didn't know who the fuck I was, to people that I honestly feel like I have accomplished more than like not only while in KSI but for the hobby as a whole. And I just felt like a lot of those people just had an opinion where it was unneeded. Like to the point to where I even told Callie, I'm like, yo, I wish y'all didn't bring me fucking up because I had no problem with not being on the Hall of Fame. My problem was the lack of like respect. Cause I thought like, like that was a long time ago. People just don't remember. It slipped through the fucking cracks, whatever. But it was after the fact that I received all this negative commentary and like criticism, quote unquote, almost. When I feel like in our genre of communities cut from that KSI cloth, I feel like I'm one of the only groups that actually prospered from that terrible situation. Like the blacklist, which was terrible, still is. .org utilizes it. All these groups utilize it. And, kind of like endured all this nonsense and stood by KSI for a decade just to get shit on kind of upset me. And I just want to personally make sure you know that it totally had nothing to do with you as an individual. You know what I mean? Like, you're cool as fuck. Like, I even said, like, after the podcast, I said, like, before, like, I have no problems with you. I just feel like the brand that you were representing was not good. And that's why I'm stoked to have you, like, a part of, like, the whole KN thing,
Corey, that's bullshit. I told you after the podcast, Viktory seemed like a really good guy, like he's telling the truth, and you said, "No, fuck
I
that."
did not say that. I did not say that. You were lying. What was that shit he said? This is gaslighting. This is bullshit. I never said that. I said fuck KSI, and Viktory might just be in KSI, so fuck him too. But anyways, nah. But look, man, like I'm glad to have you in K, man. I know game, dude. Fucking the whole XS shit. We got a lot of positive things that we're working on, dude, and I know that you're gonna do great shit, man, for real.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm kind of a glorified consultant right now while I figure out the XS environment. It's a lot to take in to start, but I think it'll go well. And a lot of the people in KN I kind of get along with. I know a few of them from past iterations of KSI and just people I come across, and the fact that I spent a lot of time developing relations with people in different communities. So it was just seemed like a natural
Yeah,
fit.
and KN has the baddest bitches. It's known.
So
Well, I'm gonna just leave it at that. I don't
you
want to commentate too much yet.
so you've been how long have you been in KN now?
I think about a week.
What's the most glaring difference that you've noticed just from an outsider asking that question between .com and KN?
I think it's buying into the culture, and I don't have an answer as to why. But my kind of theory is the people that they're bringing in now, they went through a massive rebuild this past year. As it was explained to me, they went down to one division with like 50-ish people. Now they're back up around 800. A lot of the people they bring in, a lot of the people that are in leadership positions are a nice mix of new and old. And a lot of the members are either coming from gaming communities where they had a bad experience and this one offered at least some middle ground to start, or you have a bunch of people who've never been in this genre of clans before. And so they don't have a perspective of this narrative that happens between all of the feuding areas, nor do they really have any concerns other than making where they are so much better than it ever could be. They want to leave this KN better than they found it. And that's the mentality that I see everywhere at every level. And it's very consistent no matter who I talk to.
I mean, coming from someone like, I'm actually in KN, like in a squad as well. And like I've like been with them since like the beginning. So the big perspective like of XS as a whole and everything else is really the exclusivity. Like you'll notice there's fewer walls blocking off like, you know, these groups and so forth and so on. And just like the inclusivity, like the big moves that, you know, were made and like ending a lot of the problematic things and toxicity and, you know, repairing some of the errors that, you know, the past taught us, you know, that we inherited essentially really made it to where XS as a whole has prospered over the last like 6 months, you know, 6 to 7 months, especially tremendously. Like, you know, not just KN, but, you know, those things. And our stance, like in the culture, our morals and our like values and where we're trying to, you know, kind of evolution, like, you know, revolutionize things and kind of move things to like out of the darkness and kind of like not have these like walls that's like, you know, keeping people apart. Is really, in my honest opinion, what's really caused so much success across XS as a whole. Like I feel like, you know what I mean? Like if you go into LDP, you'll see KN, TXO, XGN, like all these communities like communicating so forth so on. You go on Twitter, you'll see KN, XGN, TXO, OTO, VGO, all these clans kind of like just interacting, liking, the friend groups kind of intertwine. Like I'll join a party and it's full of like KN and mixed with like all these random people. You'll see XDG popping there, TSB. And I feel like just the inclusivity, it's really like a big movement, you know, like things are just popping. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So did you join the TSB Global? So
Yeah, I'm a guest in there as well.
You ever look around in there?
I do. I chat with a few people. I chat with Princess a lot. I talk to Taco a lot. Obviously, I talk to Callie a lot. He likes having debates in my DMs. You know, Callie, you got to answer my last one. But that's his style, and I don't mind that. And I feel like I have the mental capacity to continue to have those debates with him, even if sometimes I feel like it's way over my head sometimes.
Yeah,
but
same.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, Callie is very. He's kind of the person who takes like that motivational speakers like stance and has very like wants to offer wisdom. And there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes I'm like, you're like an 8 and I need you to be like a 4. Like it's like 6 a.m. I'm drinking my morning coffee. I'm like, I don't have like the mental capacity to talk about like the feuding of clans and where the future of the communities are going. Like I got like money to make. I got to go to work. I got a fucking sports league to run. Like I need to focus on the big things first.
So you've been looking around the TSB Global. So anything in there surprise you, or
not really?
You expected?
Yeah, it was kind of what I expected. I feel it was like just a friendly community. And again, as a guest, I can only see so much. So there are probably things that I can't see that might exceed my expectations. But in my entire time in KSI, I was never a leader until recently, like in the last 3-4 years where I really kind of stepped up. And in that time, I did have relationships with people in and out of blacklisted clans when I probably shouldn't have because of blacklist. I've never had the bias when it came to the feuds because I was never involved. And so when I came into the narrative as a leader, I'm like, well, I'm coming into a PlayStation build that has literally nothing to do with Xbox. All of the feuds at that time were on Xbox. I'm like, well, I'm kind of in KSI, but I'm my own clan. So I got to kind of get out of that echo chamber and just have a new experience. So I never had this bias to begin with. I never really had a problem with TSB or Hydra or XS. I looked at the different brands and saw like potential. I saw opportunities to make relations, have community events, build brands from a marketing standpoint, even if the narrative above me didn't agree with it. So I never really bought into it because I just saw that there was opportunity versus holding on to the past.
Yeah, there are a lot of misconceptions about XS, Hydra, all these things. So I like to dispel those when I get an opportunity.
Of course.
I don't know. Hydra events is where it's at.
Yeah.
Sean will have to give me access so I can join some.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, she can do it.
Sweet.
Do guests have access to? Do they see the events in TSB
That's
Global?
what I was going to ask him if he could see it.
So if I go into the server, what I can see is the join leave, the guests, one voice chat, and I think role request as well. And I think it's just because the guest's role wasn't really like, it was set up to just bring some people into chat. I don't know if it was like ever expanded upon at that point. That's really what it kind of looks like to me.
Yeah, we'll get that expanded where you can see the events and stuff like that.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, no
We're
worries,
having
no
a
rush.
murder mystery event next week, actually.
Ooh, like mafia, like old fashioned mafia on forums and stuff. Oh, I'm down. Sign me
I
up.
have to hear about this fucking murder mystery shit again. Swear to God.
Landry, you're talking my language. I'm so down.
For sure. So do you have any regrets being so loyal to KSI, or do you just kind of take it as a learning opportunity?
Well, everything's a learning opportunity. I'm not going to regret my loyalty to a brand because the brand that I got to know was one that I helped build. Very much that was different from what I had experienced in the past. Even if there's still hurdles to overcome, I do feel like in my time in KSI, I was a part of a large culture change, even if certain individuals didn't necessarily go on board. But I feel like a lot of the members bought into that culture change, and it was just trying to get past the legacy that is left for them. And that was the biggest hurdle. Even if we didn't have that legacy, if we were not KSI and we were some other group, I don't think there would be any problem with us or the people in charge if we weren't KSI. And I think it's just because the name has been slandered so much, it's really hard to build off that. And the fact that there's still a .com and a .org bugs the shit out of me. It was kind of my mission to get rid of one or the other and just have one. Look at their leadership positions in both and find a compromise for everyone and just kind of make it a new brand. Like a rebranding of KSI as a one thing again. And that was my kind of goal when I was leading the brand. Obviously, that's not the case anymore.
Were y'all in talks to merge the two?
We never got to that point, but we did open up lines of communication and started, hey, maybe we should start doing some events. Maybe we should start looking into members that are like going from .org to .com and just open the relationship a little bit. We had some initial talks, but we never got beyond that. And I think it's just because they got their own shit going on. Obviously, if I look on Twitter, I can see why. And then you and I have had conversation about like true number status and how active their clan ops is and where it's not active, how long it takes to join the community. And I think they just have so many struggles to overcome before that was even realistic. And I do feel like a lot of them take pride in their positions, and there's no blame in that. But it comes down to, I don't think they'd be able to see past a lot of the mistakes of the past, and they would be kind of replicating them going forward. And I was a little worried that might be the case for .com if they got too close with .org without a merge on the table.
Did you test my theory about joining?
No, I didn't. I never got around to it. Obviously, some things came up, but I might do it again just to see.
Yeah, it takes like 2 weeks to get in that clan when you get on their website and fill out all.
Oh, well, man, like even .com, like when you go on the website now to .com and you do like a new member registration, it pings all of our recruiters in the Discord and they're in within 24 hours. And that's like full like inquiries. If they're in TSP, we go reach out to someone like Ivy, or if they're in other clans, we'll reach out to them and just be open and transparent. But it's less than 24 hours, and that's including a vetting process. That's pretty simple.
Yeah, you're talking to somebody that has somewhere around between 25 and 50 people inside that clan. And I'm telling you right now, we're the most active people they have.
Well, TSB propping up dead clans since 2008.
They have divisions that have 400 people in the Discord, and it'll go 72 hours without anyone speaking in the general chat.
Damn, that's pretty sad. Like fuck, even .com probably has more guests than they have members, and all of our fluffed members now in .com. Well, I say us, I really shouldn't, but in .com, all fluffed members are not removed from the server anymore. We give them the opportunity to stick around and enjoy like a fairly decent environment with an LFG, access to squad events and stuff if they so choose. But there's probably like 200 or 300 people that are maybe not active, but they were fluffed and they have the opportunity to come back. And now they have that like tool if they would like to come back into clan ops or get involved in something else. It's there for them.
Yeah.
And if they choose to leave, it's up to them.
You and I had talked about that. That's the role that I created in TSB not long ago. A casual role for people that don't want to be in the grind of clan ops, but don't want to leave the clan. Like I'm a firm believer in, rank is a reward for doing clan ops work. Mm-hmm. Membership does not require that kind of grind. If you want to be a member, I want you to be a member. I want you to have access to, the media events, the everything that we do. I want you to have full access to that. I don't feel like you're required to do a whole bunch of recruiting, hosting workshops and game nights and like that just to be a member. I mean, if you want to rock the name, I have people that have rocked the name for over a decade now, bro, that have never been to a workshop, and they're doing just fine, and they'll be members for life. And
obviously, that's the best thing.
That's the hardest thing to tell some of these, because you have people who enjoy the grind of working their way up the ranks, and you have people that don't. They just want to be members and hang out with a friend group. And you should be.
Absolutely. Well, like, even if you look at other Discord servers, especially when they're based around games, because people are always going to be looking for game. The biggest one I always look at something for console right now is Destiny. The Destiny franchise has a lot of content that requires team play. They have in-game clans. Now, a lot of these servers based around that game will just have 10,000 people playing that game, and if they're in a clan or not, they'll always have people access. So why not make use of exposure like that to that level within the communities?
Yeah, I agree. So, all right, spicy question.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Who ultimately knifed you in KSI?
Oh boy.
Sorry, who? Can you repeat the question? I think you cut out a bit for me.
Oh, who ultimately stabbed you in the back in KSI?
I honestly don't have an answer to that. Like, some people who were upset with how I handled discipline on their behalf had shared some initial things. And again, it was nothing that really would have affected me negatively for a long term, but I still decided to kill the narrative. And I've actually patched up with those people now going forward, because we understand that obviously some heated tensions happened, and we all got DNH'd, and within an hour we were all having a conversation about it and just clearing the air, mending broken bridges, and just being like, look, it wasn't worth throwing away like a good relationship just because of some decisions that were made, which we both, on both sides of the fence, we feel we were just in. Beyond that, I suppose some more of the things that were said in private were revealed, but I don't know by who, and I don't even know who stabbed me in the back per se. But at this point, I think it's irrelevant. I've landed on my feet. My DNH was reversed due to leadership feeling it was unjust to begin with, and I don't feel like I've lost anything of value here, other than some time that I did put into KSI, which I plan to replicate what I was doing in other places. So at the end of the day, all of it's irrelevant. I have no hard feelings.
You can say Miss Harry. I won't judge you.
Actually, no. She was one of the people who kind of stood up for me. So much love and appreciation.
All right, you can say JT. We won't judge you.
I can't say whether or not it was JT because I don't know. Things happen behind closed doors that I can't.
Stop trying to.
No. You know what? It was Ray, because apparently someone tried to steal her taxes, and it was probably.
Which personality?
Yes.
Which one?
Oof. I don't know. Let's just, you just take one of the Wheel of Fortune and just put into different personality names and just spin the wheel. Ban it out with like a consonant for gaslighting.
Have you ever had a conversation with that girl?
Outside of the kind of Twitter talks, I had one conversation when it came to the Gathering server, when it was taken over and turned into an unlimited server. Yeah. I had a conversation about like possibly setting up events in this server because I just assumed it was going to be that, and she just kind of shut me down. I'm like, wow, that seemed kind of bitchy, but I'm gonna just let it go.
Yeah, consider yourself lucky.
I feel like I dodged a lot of bullets.
Really
Is that why you stole her taxes?
Breaking news.
I don't think that's possible. See, here's the thing too. I don't even think I could do that. I live in a different country. I have to deal with a different revenue agency, and I don't even know how to do my own fucking taxes, let alone steal someone else's.
Yeah. Well, I legit don't have the ability to steal taxes, but you see what
Can
she
you
says.
imagine to be like going through the trouble of stealing someone's taxes and then putting your own address on it, as she claimed? Like, why would if you're gonna
Like, that's the ultimate flex,
Yeah.
though. Like, could you imagine? You know enough about the IRS to defraud the government, get away with it, and steal some pitiful amount from an individual? Like, that's the
Right.
ultimate flex. Forget dossing. We're going to start stealing people's tax information.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Listen, I want. Ever since I've been hanging out with Corey, I was fucking man, my house gets swatted. I get fucking DDoSed all the time because Corey gets on this podcast, dude, and he gets fucking
It is
I ain't
wild.
causing no shit, bro. Vicky done said like 20 things I could have done wrecked his ass on. But I ain't saying shit.
We're on the same side now. Come on, you can't do
All right,
that.
so-
Fuck Miss Aries. This is sponsored by Mr XGN.
Yeah, I would like to talk about how he's got the window unit stolen out of my fucking double wide.
He's got me on a
Yeah,
leash,
all
folks.
this-
I can't say nothing no more.
My fucking snakeskin boots have done been
I
stolen.
don't want to hear
I
that.
mean, I just
Ooh,
I've been looking for them.
that's a
the whole
rough,
time.
it's a rough go.
listen. He got into it with fucking Rodney down at Save a Lot over some goddamn hamburger patties, and this is
It
how
was
my
a
life is
fucking
going.
value pack. There was a very good value, and it was the last box, bro. It's a goddamn pandemic outside.
See?
I
Now,
can't.
Work
round
up.
I swear, you said you weren't going to bring it up. Here you are bringing shit up again.
He said it was a value pack. He takes that shit serious.
It was a value pack. There was goddamn 42. It's usually only 34. It's 42 in this pack. The price stayed the same. That's a lot of extra hamburgers.
Well, just saying, I'm paying the price for you getting that fucking value
All right,
pack.
well,
It'd been cheaper for me. I could have paid wholesale and got you every fucking thing you wanted.
I didn't see
you
ass
know what?
stepping up to fix
Honestly,
it.
you could just bought the ground beef twice as
I
much, same
can't deal with
price.
this, man.
You're just paying for the service I have. Someone forming it for you.
can't deal with this.
Beyond me.
Do we have any more questions?
I have
Yes.
one question left on there, and it's spicy.
Oh boy.
Okay,
Oh,
go
no.
ahead.
Which I don't know if you're gonna admit to it or you're gonna actually answer, but in your opinion, who is the most toxic person in KSI?
The most toxic person. Jesus. I don't even know where to start. There's no one individual that's more or less toxic than anyone. I think that's the same for every clan. However, there are those individuals who cross so many lines, and I think the person who I've seen cross the line way too many times. Actually, no, I'm gonna go with a different answer. I have a different answer. The most toxic person I ever met in KSI was KSI Security 7. And this motherfucker, I don't even know where to start with him. He originally was removed from the community for stolen valor, which when he came back disproved enough for like, okay, we're going to give you one shot to like not fuck this up. And, you know, he started working into the community. He was a bit toxic with how he dealt with people. He wasn't really good with the squad ops. He was involved with education where he had a very holier than thou attitude. And that in and of itself isn't the problem. The problem is eventually it came to a head where we had a police report sent to us of this man impersonating an army cadet going to people's homes and trying to do an educational reach out program with their children, to which we found out after he was not in the military at the time and he was just knocking on random people's doors to talk to the kids. And so we removed him.
Ooh, that's
And again, it's the police report just mentions that he was there in a capacity of stolen valor talking to kids. We don't have any evidence that anything inappropriate beyond that happened, but that in and of itself is inappropriate on multiple levels. And that to me is the most toxic person I've ever met in KSI. Not necessarily because of their attitude, how they held themselves. That in and of itself was not a big issue. It was a small one, but it's what they did outside of KSI and then lied about doing it. And that's what, to me, is more toxic than anything. I could have people calling me the N-word in parties in KSI. I could have people, like, trying to blackmail me. That's not as toxic as what that man did.
What did you do with the information you had on that man?
We simply removed him from the community and explained in basic detail that there was some very inappropriate behavior. And I wasn't going to like put him on blast, but I don't even care anymore. We didn't really do anything with the information. We just removed him and just simply refused to acknowledge that he existed. We didn't want anything to do with it. But now that I'm no longer there, I can't like.
Viktory's gonna get
It's
swatted
just
for
gross.
causing shit.
So you guys didn't send that information to any clans?
We mentioned it to some people when they brought it up, but like there was a smaller clan that I guess he tried to join, and they asked us about him. I'm like, man, he was like accused of stolen valor and some inappropriate behavior. I don't recommend joining, and I don't even remember the clan name. I don't even think they exist anymore. They hit their like 3-month fame and then disappeared.
Yeah, somebody over there passed that information to TSB.
I'm not surprised. Not surprised. It's probably for the best. Again, I wasn't in charge at the time, so I didn't feel it was my place to pass the information, but who was in charge probably felt it was necessary to pass it along. But not my place at the point in time, so I wasn't going to touch the issue.
Okay, I feel like you danced around the question. That guy is just a fucking sicko. Who's the most toxic person in KSI right now?
I don't know, man. Like, here's the thing. Like, when you look at toxicity as a concept, like there are people who are toxic in game. Then there are people who are toxic with other people about the community itself or rank or whatever. And I'm not going to put my finger on one individual. There are multiple individuals who I'm not going to sit here and expose. I don't think it's worth it. And I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I don't want it to seem like I'm targeting people, but there are definitely multiple individuals who have a toxic personality to them that hinders the community's growth.
Okay, man, you can say Carrot's name.
It's not Carrot. Honestly, if anything, Carrot's one of the least toxic people in the community from a public face point, because he ensures that like he presents himself in this particular way. And I respect that. Even if people don't agree with it, and I respect him as a person. But again, because of how my KSI time ended, I don't think I would work with him in KSI in any capacity because of that, not because of him in person.
Yeah. No, I mean, I say things about Carrot, but I don't know Carrot. I know what I've heard, you know? So I try not to judge him. And obviously when we say fuck KSI or whatever, you know, I mean, I understand that a lot of people in KSI are good people, you know? It's just that you touched on it earlier. Do you think the KSI name can be saved at this point?
If the necessary steps are taken to make it one brand, with one direction and one vision, and I would say market themselves properly, absolutely. And I think they're attempting to make the steps to do that. If it succeeds, great. If not, then I mean, it's not a huge surprise, but it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of kind of personal sacrifice and kind of taking the same behaviors I did, which was take the blame for the people that came before me, because I have to represent that. I had to represent the KSI's slandered image and just own it and do what I had to do to show that me, as a leader, as someone to reach out to, was trustworthy and forthwith individual. And regardless of how other people have slandered the name and or have ruined the name, I have to be better than that. And I think the next leaders will have to do the same.
I really like the fact that that's one thing you pointed out, is that you do realize that those leaders over there, and they may not have the same mindset you did, but you had no problem taking responsibility for mistakes that older leaders had made.
Well, that's what being a leader is all about.
And you have
bro,
to
this episode
because those things,
bro, I can't talk shit. I just want to talk so much shit. I can't, man.
Sorry, man. We gotta shut that narrative down so that we can all grow and change, and hopefully one day all of this gets buried.
And I
won't
be getting all these shitty texts from people talking about what an asshole you are on the podcast,
buddy.
Corey.
I can't even talk shit. He's literally in one of fucking the clans that I represent. He's fucking. I can't. I don't know what to do. So let's wrap this up, guys.
Wow. Okay, fine. We can't have a friendly podcast. Corey shuts this shit down.
He cannot handle the fact that he hasn't answered one question for you this time.
Boy.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for coming, Viktory with a K, and thank you guys for listening. Do you guys have anything else to say before we close it out?
Yeah. Welcome to the good side, to the light, Viktory. Glad
I feel enlightened.
And
this will be fun.
All right. See you guys.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
Demanding. I still got to post on the forums first. Oh man.
The comment that you made on Twitter that day, my daughter and I, Landry, we still laugh at when you said, "Hey, it could be worse. We could be unlimited."
That
I
killed
fucking
me. Oh my god, that killed
Hey,
me.
you got to play to the narrative that's out there, and you got to make it
You
fun.
did it
Or
really
else, what's the
well.
point?
That was a really funny comment.
Thank you.
yes.
I got more coming. Don't worry.
Word. And now that you're playing for the home team, we can engage in friendly banner and I'm going to have Landry get it set up where visitors can see the events in the global chat too, so that you guys can hop in there.
Yes, for sure. Because we have some really fun events.
Oh, I can't wait. It'll be so much fun.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for coming again, Victory. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode of the Creators Corner.
Corey, thank you for not showing your ass.
Boy, fuck
Appreciate
KSI, fuck Jazz, fuck all them fools. Mr. XGN sign the fuck out. You know what the fuck going on, bro? Peace.
Oh my.
And Victory pleads the fifth.
Oh my god.